Welcome everyone. So how is Malaysia doing in terms of ESG? So ESG means so many different things to so many different people that there's not actually one national benchmark for ESG, but we do have other benchmarks. So we have our Environmental Performance Index. So we are improving. We were doing 130 in 2022, and now we've dropped to 117. We're ahead of Indonesia and Philippines, not as good as Estonia and Luxembourg, and also behind our neighbors like Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, and Sri Lanka. In terms of climate change, we made our COP pledge at COP28, a 45% reduction of GHG emissions by 2030. We announced GATS, we announced NETR, a whole bunch of things we've announced. In terms of how we performed, we've got the GHG emission numbers for 2022. We've actually increased by 5.75%. We need to reverse that trend. In terms of RE pledge, we pledged to get 31% by 2025, and 40% by 2035, and 70% by 2050. In terms of how we're doing, we always report in terms of installed capacity. So we say in terms of installed capacity, we hit 23%, but that's actually not the global way of doing it. Everyone does it in terms of RE generation. So if we do it in terms of RE generation, we only hit 17.8%. It's really our Sarawak friends who are helping us push up our national numbers. Without our Sarawak friends, the number would be the single digit. I don't think we're going to hit our figure in the timeline. Are we doing well enough? We can debate about that, but what is for sure is that we can do much, much better. Okay? And this is how. Okay? We need to stop discriminating against RE. And what do I mean by that? Okay? So if you look at the gas price that we give to our IPPs, we're giving the last one that we published is 38.4 cents to SIPP. And because of that fair price that we give to the IPPs, we have 0% failure rate of IPPs. We got 10.8 gigawatts of gas installed. Conversely, with solar, in the recent round of LSS, we even award solar as low as 15 cents. The average is 24 cents. So we have paid solar much less than we paid to the IPPs, and our success rate or our failure rate for solar is 42.3%, and that's why we've only installed 1.7 gigawatts. Similarly, biomass, very low price, we award 27 cents. Failure rate is about 80%. Biogas, about 24.7 cents. Failure rate, 84%. And hydro, we have such a great potential for mini hydro, but our rate, which we give our mini hydro developers, is 24.2 cents. And the failure rate, I'm not talking about success, the failure rate is 91%. So we've got enormous hydro potential, mini hydro potential, less than 100 megawatts, less than 100 megawatts installed. So I'm not saying that we don't need to do more gas plants. Definitely in the near future, we need to do more gas plants, and we should pay a fair price for those gas plants. But what I'm saying is, don't discriminate against RE. So that's the price that we pay to the RE developer. But the price that TNB pays for RE is even lesser. So the price that TNB pays for RE is about 24 cents. Okay. So it pays for gas 38 cents, but it pays for RE only 24 cents. And that price hasn't been revised since 2014. So what that means is when you pay an RE developer an FIT of whatever it is, 30 cents, yeah, the amount that TNB pays is a very low amount. It's only 24 cents. And the rest comes from the RE fund. Okay? So what we're saying is TNB should pay a fair price for RE. Okay, it's paid 38 cents for gas. Maybe it can pay 30 cents for RE. Okay? And if it just does that, pay a fair price for RE, we increase it to 30 cents. The amount of projects that SEDA can do will more than double. Okay? And it will reduce the drain on the RE fund. Okay? So that's the financial hurdles. Okay? On top of that, we have our non-financial, ex-chairman of ST is coming here. He's heard this from me many times, so hi guys, welcome. On top of the financial hurdles, we've got our non-financial hurdles. So we've got these crazy rules in Malaysia stopping RE. So what we have here is something called no negative power flow. Okay. So when you have a hydro plant in the jungle, you inject to a PE substation. TNB don't allow you to inject from that PE substation to the big PMU substation. You must expend all that energy in that location. But the issue is, a lot of RE is in remote locations. So there isn't much demand around there. And the load centers are further up. But because of this crazy rule, a lot of these RE projects can't be implemented. Then we have another rule about solar for self-consumption. It cannot be more than 1 megawatt per connection, or 75% of demand. Why? Why that? Why 1 megawatt? Why not 2? Why not 5? Why not 6? Okay, and then a lot of RE is also being stopped because of high fault level. High fault level is an engineering problem we can solve, but we're just being blocked from implementing it. So these are crazy rules. We do work all over the world, okay, and we don't have these rules blocking RE. So these are crazy rules which we should remove tomorrow so that they can implement more RE. We love doing these large-scale solar projects, but the problem with the large-scale solar projects is you have to clear acres and acres of our beautiful forest. Okay, so from a CO2 point of view, it's fair, okay, because 1 acre is about 2.5 tons of carbon dioxide a year from trees, while from these efficient solar plants you get 500 tons of carbon dioxide displaced. So from a CO2 point of view, yes, it makes sense, but there's much more to the world than just CO2. Yeah? So there's loss of habitat, there is food security, there's decreased biodiversity, and we have tons of dead space, rooftops, panels over water. Why are we cutting down our beautiful forests to put up, frankly, stupid solar panels? There's lots of other places to do it. So this is the good news. This is the good news. Malaysia has tons of RE potential. Okay? So we don't have to cut one tree and we can put up 42 gigawatts of solar. So frankly, there is no reason why we need to cut any trees. There's so much dead space. Let's put the solar over the dead space. Hydro, about 5 gigawatts of hydro in Peninsular Malaysia, we can realize. Biogas and biomass, 2.2 gigawatts to be realized. We have great potential, we just need to realize it. And how do we do it? First, get TNB to pay a fair price, increase the displaced cost. TNB pays more for RE. Because of that, we increase the amount of non-variable RE. What you're doing essentially is strengthening SEDA. SEDA has been very effective in delivering RE. We've got to give them more firepower so they can deliver more for us. SEDA is working on a new, fairer bidding system. We have to remove the obstacles for implementing RE, which we talked about. And by doing that, we can really propel how much in terms of RE penetration in this country. Wadila mentioned 200 megawatts of SEDA bidding coming up next year. We're very excited about that. But do this, and we can literally increase that by multiples. There's some great initiatives being talked about by government at the moment. NETR, third-party access, renewable energy exchange. These are all great initiatives, but we just want to highlight a couple of hotspots. Okay? The first hotspot is the wheeling charge. Okay? So the wheeling charge is how much you pay TNB for an RE producer to sell to your client. And there's a very distressing article on The Edge over the weekend where it says that the wheeling charge will be 25 cents. That's a crazy price. Okay? Why is it a crazy price? We already have a contract here at the moment where we sell from Laos to Singapore, and we're only charging them 10.8 cents. So why would we sell cheap electricity to Singapore, cheap RE to Singapore from Laos, and only charge them 10.8 cents, but discriminate the Malaysian RE players who are trying to develop RE in the country? It's crazy. Okay? There is a published document, okay, called the RE3 study, which tells you how the tariff is broken up. So if you look at that document, the breakup of tariff between transmission and distribution is 7.56 and 2. So maximum 11 cents. That is a published document about the cost of transmission and distribution in the country. So even if you use that published document, the 25 cents over double of that. Okay? And let's look at wheeling charges internationally, benchmarked. Look at the benchmark. India is about 8 cents. California is 0.25 to about 10 cents. So, you know, what we're proposing in Malaysia is multiples of what is happening in the rest of the world. And what does this mean? So, if you're trying to sell RE to a customer, you're selling to him at 36.5, but you only have to pay TNB 25. That means you only have about 11 cents, okay, to generate RE, which is crazy though. Of course, there is the GATS tariff, so maybe you can sell to them. And then you add 20 cents to that. But why would someone go to the GATS tariff? It's much safer, right, rather than go through all this thing. So we need to make things much more attractive. And, you know, so government has great ideas sometimes, but the devil is in details. And we have a lot of examples where we got things wrong by not looking at the details. So a good example is in 2019 when Minister Yobi In came in. She was very excited. We're going to liberalize the retail sector. We're going to open it up. We're going to have lots of electricity retail players. But the tariff they set was about 1 cent per unit. It was too low. It was not viable. So after this great announcement, no one picked it up, and the whole thing was a disaster. So you don't sort out the details. Great ideas will fail. So that's our hotspot number 1. Hotspot number 2 is the cost of smart grids. RE will put a cost onto the grid. It's been published, 9 billion over 4 years. I'm not saying that's a right or wrong figure. I'm just saying that's the published figures. Additional 9 billion to the grid to deal with RE. And the question is, put that in, that's going to increase the tariff significantly. And who should pay for the tariff, for that tariff increase? Because the man on the street is going to say, I don't want to pay more for my electricity for RE. I don't care about RE. I just want to make my ends meet. So we really need to think about a socialization of costs for RE. There'll be a question and answer afterwards. You can ask me anything about anything. I have to declare that we are actually advising government on this at the moment. So we have to be a bit sensitive about the answers that we give on this sector. So everything I've given to you is what's in the public domain. Ask me about anything else, and as long as we're not bound by confidentiality agreement, I'm happy to answer. So what I've shown you is that definitely we can hit 40% RE in Malaysia. But to go beyond 40% RE, we need new technologies. Okay? Nuclear has to be there. Okay? So a lot of people don't know, but in 2011 we set up MMPC. In the region, we were the leaders in terms of nuclear. And if we carried on, we would have had 2,000 megawatts of nuclear power plants operating by 2026. Unfortunately, as a change of government, MMPC was disbanded, and it's all put to stop. But all our neighbors are going down the nuclear path. So we really need to reopen that book, and from being a laggard in nuclear, we've got to become a regional leader in civilian nuclear and agent. Of course, if you talk about nuclear fusion, you've got to talk about fission, you've got to talk about fusion, you've got to talk about nuclear fission as well. Okay? There's great news in February of this year because they had a massive international breakthrough from the international scientists collaborating together, and they managed to generate 13.8 megawatts of nuclear fission in 5 seconds. Massive breakthrough. Of course, what they don't tell you is you have to put in much more energy to get out that 13.8. So if you ask the academics, the academics' shortest estimate for commercialization of nuclear fission is 40 years, and their longest estimate is never. Okay? But what is interesting is that the PE funds have collected over US 10 billion, and they're saying that it's going to happen. Nuclear fission is going to happen in the next 10 years. That's time frame they're talking about, 10 years. For us, I don't know who's right, academics or the PE firms, but from a national viewpoint, this PE strategy is not something that we should be looking at. I think we need this from PE firms. Hydrogen. A lot of talk about hydrogen, okay? But this is the truth about hydrogen. It is really expensive. So green hydrogen is 5 to 6 US dollars per gram. Okay? And what does that mean? Okay? So in the UK, they had their first round of allocation for hydrogen. Okay? 128 megawatts implemented, and it needed £2 billion of government support for that amount of hydrogen. Okay? So if we implemented hydrogen for our as a solution in Malaysia, that would be equivalent to 2 trillion ringgit to come up with a hydrogen solution for the country. Okay? Hydrogen has massive problems. Number one, it's impossible to detect. You need a mass spectrometer. So when you put it in tight pipelines, it's difficult to see leakages. Okay? And if it leaks, it's 10 times worse than CO2. So leakage of hydrogen in terms of environment, in terms of safety is a big issue. In terms of transportation, it's actually impossible to transport hydrogen at the moment. You have to either convert it to methane, and then or convert it to liquid nitrogen, transport it, and then convert it back to hydrogen. So transport conversion cost, not logistics cost itself, is about 30%. So this is really expensive, and we don't need to do it. Malaysia does not need to do it. We have a lot of RE potential, but next to our RE potential is our RE consumers. So when you put the RE potential and the RE consumers next to each other, use HVDC. That is the answer we should be looking at. Cables. And look at the cables to connect Sarawak Peninsula from here to Singapore, to Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines. That is where our focus should be, and not Ukraine. A lot of people talk about carbon capture as well. A lot of interesting technology, but one thing you cannot get away from carbon capture is the volumes involved. It's massive volumes. Okay? So our total waste problem in the whole of Malaysia, which we're struggling to control, is 39,000 tons of waste a day. That's the total waste produced in Malaysia. Now, if we stop doing that and we made that 100% carbon, so we took all our capabilities for waste and put it into 100% carbon, that will only produce 5 kilowatts of power. Okay? And in terms of cost, it would increase the tariff by 14 cents. Now, CCUS technology will improve, the cost will decrease, but the volume will not change. Okay? So it will never be the one solution. But I think CCUS, it has got a role to play, so I think we should carry on investing in it, but not as the one solution, but as an alternative. Lots of really interesting technologies, other technologies going on in the world. First one is actually, it's very simple, pump storage. Everyone in Malaysia talks about battery storage. But the reality is 90% of electrical energy is stored by pump storage. Okay? And there's 300 gigawatts being rolled out in the next couple of years. Where? Not in emerging economies, it's in China and in the US. It's a big fight to put on more pump storage, because that is actually the real solution, not batteries. Okay? But there's great innovation in battery technology. Lithium sulfur batteries are being developed, really interesting. And then they're saying, okay, do we have enough lithium to power all these batteries in the world? There's great work going on about mining of lithium in the sea. That's great research going on. When we're talking about mining in the sea, there's also a lot of deposits of mined hydrogen in the sea. So we could actually extract hydrogen by mining, and that's much cheaper, about $1 per cent. That's what about. Great work also being done on HVDC, aluminium, annealed graphite cores, which ends up with very, very light, conductive transmission lines. But it's already ongoing. In China, they have a 1 gigavolt transmission line, 12 megawatt, 12 gigawatts, running a few thousand kilometers. Massive, massive transmission lines using new technologies. Computing. At the moment, technology is using about 3 to 4% of our global carbon emissions. Okay? But because of data centers, because of AI, they expect that it could increase to about 30% of global carbon by 2030. So there's a lot of research being done on ferroelectric materials. What that means is you don't need to power up to these switches, and that reduces carbon or energy consumption in carbon by tenfold. These materials work. Thin wafer technologies with solar perovskites. They're already working. They're about 3 or 4 times more efficient than conventional solar, but they don't last very long. They only last 1 or 2 days. So the thing is to make it stable, and that would really be the next revolution in photovoltaic technology. So what I'm saying is, as a country, we need to keep abreast of all these emerging technologies. We've got to adjust our plans and policies accordingly, because the technology world is moving very fast. We're going to move along fast. ESG is more than climate change. There's much more to the E than just climate change. This is a big issue on E that we have to deal with in the country. I've mentioned it already. 39,000 tons of municipal waste a year. Okay? And a lot of our landfills have been shut down. 174 have been shut down. And of the current 137 landfills, 126 are non-sanitary. So they are putting leachate into the ground. They're putting methane into the air. This is something we need to look at. So we worked on the National Master Plan in 2005, and really the technology there is the same technology that we've used for literally the last 100 years, which is landfills. Okay? But now there's a lot more exciting new technologies when it comes to waste treatment. In terms of waste to energy, there's stocker, gasification, biogas digesters, pyrolysis, plasma. But that's only one side of it. In terms of materials recovery, there's so much happening in terms of materials recovery as well. So we have now much more solutions. Okay. We're working closely with government on this. So we're currently doing the National Waste Characterization Study. We hope to end that by the end of the year and submit a report to the government by the end of the year. That's key, because you can't come up with the right technology if you don't know what type of waste that we have. We also work with government to come up with a circular economy blueprint. It was just launched earlier this month. This is really important document. There's got 5 main strategies, 20 initiatives. It's really forward-thinking, because things like extended producer responsibility, that means making manufacturers pay for the waste. So making manufacturers pay for how to treat the waste, dealing with that. But also looking at the consumer and pay as you throw, zero waste landfill certification. We have also said that we need to have more waste to energy plants, and we need to really turn around our recycling rate to at least 40% by 2025. And once we roll all this together, we need to come up with a national strategy. Because the last one was in 2005, and the situation is totally different. Plastics, big problem in the country as well. WWF says only 24% in plastics were recycled in 2019, way below our target. In terms of putting plastics into the ocean, I think we are the 3rd worst in the world. In terms of consumption of microplastics, we told that we are the worst in terms of the world, and the situation is getting worse. So from the last study we're doing now, the amount of plastics has increased from 13.2% to 22.25%. This is not a good world report to have. But we know the solution in the blueprint that we work with the government on. Dealing with this is part of the circular economy we're talking about. There's great plans for dealing with plastics, which the government has done. Okay? So we've highlighted the three of them there. We have to incorporate microplastics into those plans, and we have to implement the plans. So actually, we know how to solve the microplastics solution. We have a great plan for doing it. We just have to implement it. Water problem in the country. Okay, so we talk about water supply first. Water supply, big issues of non-revenue water, aging assets, contamination of our water supply, realizing groundwater. We need to get much more private sector investment in, and the water safety plan. We need to really implement those. Okay, that's the water issue. In terms of the sewage issue, we've got these large public sewage treatment plants. Not all of them are in compliant with standards. We've got to get that done. We've got the private sewage treatment plants. We know most of them are not compliant with standards. On top of that, we've got septic tanks, we've got primitive systems, and we've got a lot of silage. So a lot of houses are not connected to systems. And even those houses that are connected to systems, they don't capture all their silage. A lot of it just goes direct, wade straight into the river. Flooding issue is a big problem in Malaysia. Last year, 2 people died. I think 8,000 families displaced, 35,000 people displaced, 1 million lost just last year itself. And these are the issues here we have, non-holistic flood management, ineffective drainage systems, poor maintenance habits, irregular tide control phenomena, ineffective flood mitigation strategies, and poor monitoring and enforcement. Incredible problems. Is there a solution? Yes, there is a solution. I'm very happy to have Prof. Tunku here, because a lot of these reports were done by ASM, president of the ASM. We actually know how to solve these problems holistically. Firstly, we've got to look at it holistically. It is all part of the same water cycle. We can't try to deal with these problems separately. We've got to deal with it all holistically. And we've got some great reports done, transforming the water sector transformation, key priority areas. All we have to do is implement what we know needs to be done. And I think the most important element of this is that we need to be bold. Okay? We need to set up a national commission of holistic water management dealing with everything. Okay? We've got to consolidate and integrate the water-related agencies. There's too many people looking after water. Okay? And we've got to separate policy, regulatory, and management roles from the water players. Have that very clear delineation that happens in all other parts of the world. We want a national water company. We want a TNB, a telecom Malaysia, but for water. And we need to manage water from an engineering point of view. Okay? So the water flowing down the Buddha River doesn't know when it goes from Kedah to Penang. It's the same water, it's the same pollutants. But we have different regulatory regimes going from each to each. We need to manage things as a water basin, national water basin authority. Okay? And we need to set the right tariff and have a green tariff and introduce pollution pay and beneficiary pay policies and accelerate the circular economy. All this sounds like it's impossible to do and it's crazy. But all around the world, on a daily basis, people are doing deals like this. And you know who's doing it? It's merchant bankers. It's mergers and acquisitions. As long as you can identify benefit for each parties, you can merge everyone together because the whole is much more than the sum of the parts. So we just need to be open, we need to be transparent, and we need to solve this once and for all. And I quote Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. It can be done. we always forget about the S. So let's talk about the S. I think Malaysia has done really well in terms of hardcore poor. We nearly eradicated it. Poverty levels are dropping. A slight concern is that urban poor is going up. In terms of basic needs, I think we're doing quite well also in terms of electricity penetration, clean water. We do have some hotspots in water like in Kelantan and doing really well in terms of internet penetration. There are solutions. So we've got the rural water supply program, but I think the next two is really bold. Yeah? So with the rural power master plan, they're going to ensure that power goes to everyone in Sarawak by 2025. And similarly with the new Jendela 2 program, everyone in the whole country is going to be connected by 2025. We will be internationally those statistics. And that's a good statistic. And the last G, governance, is really, really, really important. We mustn't forget about it. Yeah? I think we've done well. We've done the Freedom of Information Act, we've got anti-public law, but we've got a lot more to do. Yeah? Separation of powers between public prosecutor and attorney general, reform of public appointments, introduce political funding act, independency of MACC. I don't have many slides on SNG because there are other experts on it. But the people on this group, the people online, we are part of the literary community. We have a greater responsibility to put forward these ideas to the land industry. So we mustn't forget what we have to do. So that's what you do as a nation. What can we do as a corporation? So at Minconsult in November of last year, we really broke ground. So we are the first company in the ASEAN region to be SBTi certified for climate change, and the fifth in the country. And SBTi is important because it really separates the talkers from the doers. So the SBTi certify you, you are in that group of doers. But how did we do it? How did we do it? Okay, so we saved on fleet by 57%, but most of it was by energy efficiency. We dropped our GHG emissions by 30%, and mostly from behavioral changes and thermostat reset. Because all of you are told to please wear short sleeve shirts. We all wear short sleeve shirts all the time here. Okay, it's a great way to promote Malaysian batik and all that as well. We should, why are we doing this crazy thing of setting our temperature so low? We go to these conferences of sustainability, go to these halls, bloody freezing. Like, what are you guys doing? Okay? And of course, we do things like energy efficiency, bulbs, and all that. 30% we changed by doing that. All of you can do that today by making those changes. But again, there's much more to it than just climate change. We have a zero waste program, zero waste office handbook, ban on plastics was implemented earlier this year. And by implementing all this, we've actually reduced paper consumption by 36% in this office. And there's got lots of other programs coming up as well. Business and employee travel policy. That's very important as well. We're subsidizing from September public transport for our staff, incentives for carpooling next year, a whole bunch of stuff being done in terms of travel policy as well. And again, S for a company is really important. Our mutual respect policy is something we're very proud of it. We launched in 2018 and we're one of the first companies in Malaysia to do it. And it's based on the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. We had to make some changes because of Malaysian law, but essentially it's based on that. And it's all about valuing diversity and inclusion, preventing discrimination, harassment, providing guidance, and coming up with a grievance procedure as well. And lastly, governance is also a very important part of this company. So there's governance operations, we talk about that. Okay, so we've got our whistleblowing policy, integrity policy, implementation policy. All those policies is governance in operations, but that's not really the important part of our business. Yeah? The important part of our business is governance in the advice and the work we give to our clients, to the government. And that's where we really make a difference. So, in conclusion, as a nation, we can do better. Okay. In terms of RE, I think we've got to be fairer to RE, remove the roadblocks. And for the rest of E, we know what we have to do. We just have to be bold and do it. And for corporations, we should start today. Start today. Yeah, everyone should wear batik shirts from today. Stop the wastage. Great social community act as well. And as corporations, remember the natural humanity that we all have to live up to. When we did the guest list today, we got other Maestro events coming up. So Dato Ir is our Maestro for waste, and Prof. Hanifa is our Maestro for water, and we've got a Maestro for Dato Mark Rosalie on aviation coming up. And we curate the guest list based on the subject. But for ESG, actually everyone is and should be interested. So with that, you can ask me anything about everything. And for those online, there's a chat box. You can put your questions in the chat box, put your hand up, and I'll try to guide the questions. One question there. Chairman AJ.
Very quick one. Very happy to see this is certification of the nation that we're trying to bring next up to hopefully close one.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see the use of internet, the connect, the community. But I think there are two things that's missing. Clean water. Okay. Nobody talks about clean water in communities. Okay. I know a lot of communities have still for clean waters. And sanitation. Nobody talks about this one. This is a struggle for many communities.
So I do touch a bit on in my slides. There's a bit of clean water. So in terms of clean water, I think the stats are at about 80%, but we have some big holes. Yeah. So Kelantan, it's 70% have access. It's really, really bad. Sabah, again, very low figures. So while the rest of the nation has got access and we don't really see it as a problem, we have some areas. And you're right, AJ, we need to focus on clean water. It's very important. And linked to that is, of course, sanitation as well. Some funds are put aside. I think the government needs to put aside more funds for that. You're right. I can't stand up and say we're the first country with 100% clean water. It's so difficult to do. Well, it's really sexy to say 100% internet penetration across the whole country. And of course, the technology as well. So why we can do it with IT is because of starting. Why we can do it in terms of electrification is the new system don't use diesel. It's all solar and battery. So maybe the technology will move faster on the water side and sanitation side. Very faster as well.
Sorry, my name is Dato Ir. Okay, out of your just now. Okay, you can see there is problems. Okay, we have highlighted the problems and the solutions are also there. Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong. The big hurdles are the players themselves and the government. Okay, so what in this case when the government themselves know the problems, or as you say, don't know the details, which is hardly surprising because they have consultants, they have all sorts of people advising them on the details. So, in short, what is the government and the players like TMB, charging so low, charging too high, whatever it is, are doing about this? As you said, the solution is already there. So what's stopping these people from actually going and giving us the solution. Thank you.
So, the problem is different for each problem. Yeah? So why was plastics not implemented? What's the problem with RE? Each one has got its own nuances about why it failed. But I can give you two general things. Yeah? The one general thing is the government loves big projects. Okay? So, sometimes the solutions are not so small projects, but that's not sexy for them. They love these big projects, So for instance, in the solar one, all around the world, solar rooftop, solar over dead space is the way forward. But in Malaysia, we're still going LSS because it's big and sexy, The small projects are not sexy. Yeah? So that's number one. We've got to stop looking at just those big sexy projects, but also do the small projects. And then number two is, they like the low-hanging fruit. Yeah? This water problem, we know it's been there all this time. We know what the solution, but it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of will to drive it to make it happen. It can be done, but it just needs that drive. So, government administration, let's just do the easy things. Yeah. So they like to do solutions which are all about tinkering. Anything which is about whole-scale change, anything which is change, thinking out the box and really moving the needle. They're scared to do it. I think the bureaucrats are scared to do it, and the politicians don't want to put the effort in to do it. So that's why we do a lot of these tinkering changes. But the problems with big solutions are not looked at. And a lot of it also is due to changes. So the plastics one, we have great plastics policy, but it started, it goes from one ministry, it gets restructured. But I think that this current government has gotten on to it. So we do engage with the current government, and they seem to get it right. So they seem to know what to do. It's just a matter of just getting down and doing it.
The problem is getting it done.
Yes.
Nobody seems in the government, they know what to do, okay? But when are they going to do it? As you say, everything is impossible until it's done. But nobody is doing it, As you said, there's so many ministries. I take care, you go to that place, you go to that place. You get sorted out like so many, you want to get, in my industry, basically you have so many agencies just to get to, let's say, building permit. They should do with all of this, get one main one, and that's it. Everybody says that. So what is stopping them? That's all I'm saying. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take another question. Take a question there.
With regard to the idea of a central water authority, actually I'm really surprised that Malaysia doesn't have one yet. Is there a blueprint, an easy to follow blueprint to make that happen? What are the impediments and barriers to that realization?
There's a lot of good international examples. So if you look at the UK, it's all merged together already, water and sewerage, and everything is being done by river basin authorities, because that's, from an engineering point, how you should look at it. Everything is done, all the problems are confined within a river basin. So they are great models. It's just that in Malaysia, there's so many entrenched players, it's for them to give up their power to a central power. But it can be done. We just have to negotiate it and make them convinced that in the new organization, they will have a better, bigger role. I don't know, Prof, this is your area, I know you're at it. Okay. I'm taking things out from his talk. So.
Hi Dennis, sorry, keeping on the topic of water. We all know that in many states, non-revenue water is a very invasive problem. Also, islands both aging as so if you look at potential solution, obviously tremendous amount of investment was required to replace those assets, the technology to tackle NRW as well. But it then all leads down to tariff.
Yes.
And I just want to quote that, of course, there's different states and different tariff regimes, but in Johor, an interesting statistic, it has the most expensive water in Malaysia, but yet it has one of the lowest MRWs. And most interestingly, it has the lowest default rate. What I meant is people actually pay the bills, even though it's the highest. So given that, I'm sure you've had a lot of chats with other states. Is there a willingness or at least a realization that they really need to address the tariff issue and then plow back that money into all those required investments?
Yeah. I think that is the heart of the problem for water, that the water tariff is too low. And people are just wasting it because it's so cheap, you don't even have to worry about serving it. And because it's too low, then you don't get the investment. There's so much move to move it up, and actually, if you look from ability and willingness to pay, there is a lot of argument to increase water because the water as a percentage of the household bill is very low. But somehow the politicians say, no, this is I'll lose in my next election. I don't think it is. I don't think it's true. I think water is generally very, very low, which is increasing price. No profit on that. So the profit's going to go next. Do you want to add to that? Or? So profits are my strong water. That's right.
I don't want to give another talk on water, but basically what Dennis says is true. Water and land is a state matter, and to federalize water will take a real big effort. But I think some of the recommendations which he highlighted for the water sector, what really needs to be done, and you can say tariff definitely one. I think the other main one is actually the governance. Water needs to be managed holistically. I mean, you look at the flooding problems which we have in Klang Valley. Technically, it should not be a problem because engineers will know how to predict the weather and to build drains and so on. So what needs to be done is to build more drains and to make sure the drains are managed, drains or rivers or whatever. But why is it not done? So again, it comes back to the governance portion here. So I guess the ministry has changed its name. They call it PETRA now, Energy Transition and Water Transformation. So not changing the name will not really solve it. They've got to do it. And as what you mentioned just now, the solutions are all there. Someone just needs to get the things done. So water transformation is a big subject matter, and I think some of the reports mainly done by Academy of Science Malaysia have looked at water very critically, and there's a lot of solutions there. So they just need to pick up the report and make sure someone drives the implementation program. Question is for Dr. Dennis.
Just further on to that, what Dr. Dennis mentioned, is there any attempt or initiative within government or past to federalize water?
Yeah, go ahead. That's a great technique. There are lots of experts. I can subcontract the work.
I think if you remember those days, water was under Public Works Department, JKR, and then sewerage was under the local authorities. So first they federalized sewerage. That's the easier bit because sewerage doesn't come under the purview of the state. It's only water and land under the state. So they managed to federalize sewerage, and you can see over the 30 years, sewerage have gone so much ahead of the water supply sector. Now, water itself, they actually brought it under the concurrent base under the federal constitution, where the state still is in charge of the water, but the federal government is can actually manage the water nationwide. So they set up a commission. By right, after 15 years to now it's 16 years after they set up SPAN, which is the National Water Commission. 15 years is a long time to get real reasonable results. So if you have not seen much results in the 15 years, you can see there's more to be done. It's a governance issue. I think the VCR itself, VCR is Water Services Industry Act, is good. Whether SPAN is good or not, is a question for us, and this is what needs to be developed. I think we had an opportunity session with the minister, and he is also looking at how to transform the water sector.
Yeah, so I suppose the good news is that a lot of this work we have presented to the ministers and ministries, and even that, the minister is quite sympathetic, but his focus at the moment, I think, is on energy. He's doing a lot of stuff on energy, so I think once he works on that, then he'll start working. He seems to align.
Hello, thank you Dennis for having us here. My name is Alejandro Roseni, I'm the ambassador of Colombia. And I have a quick question. When you look at all these numbers and all these type of solutions, of course, your focus is on the engineering side, what we say the green-based solutions, not the green-based solutions. But the nature-based solutions are also been identified to be a big part of the problem-solving strategy that we should have. Are you guys looking at that, the water or carbon or energy generation?
Yes. It's really important to get these nature-based solutions. So it goes back to what I said. These projects have a great benefit because quite often it also stimulates, it does the S element of stimulating community work and all that sort of stuff. In Malaysia, we don't focus on these solutions because we like the big projects, but I think these sort of small community-based solutions, nature-based solutions, are something that we need to look at very, very urgently and important. We got a question online. Are there enough incentives and promotions for residential homes to convert to solar? I think it makes sense now, okay? But could it be better? Yeah, definitely better. And again, government doesn't look at it because it likes these big projects, but actually, what we should do is get everyone to convert to solar now, and then straight away we have incredible RE penetration. So Yobi, when she came in with the system where you sell the TNB at the same price you buy from TNB. Seems fair, But once she left, the new minister came in and he said, "Oh, that doesn't seem fair. You homeowner, you sell at a low price, but you buy at a high price because you can afford it better than TNB." I don't quite understand. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, Why are we discriminating poor homeowners? Make it one-to-one, what it was and what it should be. So there's stuff there. It's still quite a good idea to do it, but definitely much more could be done. Any one question here, Honorables?
Just a question whether you know what is energy transformation and what is energy is transfer, water is transformation. That can anybody just explain? Energy transition, water transformation. Why is that thing? Why not this is a transformation, this is a can anybody know about that?
Go ahead, Prof. But probably you don't answer that question. That is our ex-chairman of the Energy Commission. That is not decided to step down. Why energy transition and water transformation?
Well, I think there's a funny answer and there is a proper answer. The funny answer is it spells petrol. That's my answer. But perhaps the real answer is under NEPR, this is obviously transitioning from fossil fuel generation to have much higher renewable sustainability. And it is the transition, that transition is paramount. It's all encompassing, it's not just about generation, it's also about the grid. In fact, it's all about the grid. The grid is designed all along for these large fossil fuel-based power plants, not for the homes. The grid was never designed for a home to be a generator. That so-called reverse flow. So the grid has to be changed, and that in itself is also a major transition. It's a transition in every respect. TNB has been transition, ministry has been transition, all stakeholders in the commission has been transition. So hence energy is transition. Whereas I suppose water, in a way everybody knows what the solution is for decades. And I think water needs a transformation to really bring up, and the transformation is the good slide that you had that is where everyone is the states themselves. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's not just the federal government, it's also the state government. It's the state governments, the sovereigns themselves who are the rulers of the state, the rulers of the federal government, everyone.
Just to add to that, energy transition is a global term, so all economies are talking about this energy transition. But water transformation, it's a Malaysian proposition.
Sorry, I keep asking question.
Please.
We're talking about energy, right? And normally our thoughts normally tend to focus towards electricity. We're talking about fossil-based fuel, because one sector that we seem under no control of, we try to do something, is mobility or transportation, and that's heavily relying on fossil. We have no idea of how to do this. Okay. Aviation, everybody has zero idea, right? How to deal with this. I believe that, I think when you talk about energy, it has to be complete. It's not just about electricity, but every form of energy. So, and I think we somewhat miss that in many of the talks. That we tend to focus on electricity. Okay, that's one. Secondly, I understand the great problem that we have. We just have a completely, what I call a grid, which is actually a backbone base. It's a single large backbone with injection of very large power plant. That's how the grid is being configured. And obviously, to reconfigure this is going to take time, it's going to take money. And I think you mentioned earlier that who's going to pay for this? I think we all have to pay for this if we want to move forward. And that's something that I think, as policymakers, we just have to realize that is the cost of doing this transition. Right? We are trying to, in a way, try to make it easy. It's going to cost us nothing. No, it's not going to cost us nothing. If you're going to have a better future, it's going to cost us. Right? And that's something, a message that has to be put forth, I think, quite clearly.
So I think this energy transport is really important. A few things I want to say first. Firstly, that we still have a dirty grid. So if we work out the CO2 from an electric car and the CO2 from a petrol car in Malaysia at the moment, it's the same amount. Actually, the petrol car is less CO2 than the electric car because of really dirty. But the hope is down the line that we're going to be cleaner, that the battery car makes more sense in Malaysia. But the also interesting trend in transportation is that, in the past, we had horsepower as a horse. It was replaced by steam, and then we had the internal combustion engine. And it's the same technology across all now we seem to see a divergence of technology because for passengers and smaller vehicles, we're looking at batteries, but for the heavier vehicles, then we're looking at hydrogen solutions. Yeah? So there is this change in thinking in terms of transportation about what the way forward is. And again, it's still out there with this battle between hydrogen and battery for big transport. Green big transport is still great. Tiro.
Dato, you mentioned about plastic. That day, recently, I saw one guy holding a plastic bag. We're talking about plastic, how to avoid plastic. What I'm saying, Dato, is there any policy in the government of thinking that if you don't reduce the source of supply of plastic, people are encouraged to do that. Even the 20 cents they charge for plastic bag from shops, people don't care unless you can afford that. But what I believe, what to do, I've seen even back in India, I've seen a lot of states, a lot of places, they've switched over to paper bags. Why can Malaysia do something that certain sectors you have to use paper bags? That will reduce the waste from plastic. Then of course, slowly, the recycled plastic is not an issue. It's very issue. And so is there any policy to reduce the supply of plastic?
Yes. So actually, if you look at our plastics master plan, it's a very good document. So it covers all those issues. Yeah. So it covers users, it covers manufacturers. Yeah. So the plan is to make sure everyone who manufactures plastics pays a certain amount, which goes into a fund that will be used to treat with the plastics. Yeah. Similar with importers of plastic. Yeah. So we have a great plan, we're just not executing. And this 20 cents, the idea for the 20 cents is we're meant to collect the 20 cents and give it to assess to deal with plastics. But at the moment, the 20 cents just stays in my dividends. It's not going to the right cause. So we have a plan, we just not implementing it. Are there different systems in Malaysia energy politics, water regulation, and also investments? Since we're doing PPP, okay, I think this is coming from our Indonesian office and is asking for whether we've looked at the difference between PPP investment in Malaysia and Indonesia. I think what we can say is there is a lot of water PPP investment opportunities in Indonesia. I think Indonesia for us is a real future market, but it's very municipality based. So whatever deal you're signing up with, you're not signing up with the federal government in Indonesia, you're signing up with the water authority. So you have to just make sure that the bankability of the water authority is there before you do any deal. Well, here you got PARP in the bank. Yeah? So the great thing is PARP for a lot of the projects underwrites a lot of the seats. A lot of water authorities are not paying PARP, but they're not going to stop the water from flowing. Good. Is there any more questions? If not, I would like to bring this session to a close, and I would like to firstly thank everyone physically joining us today. Thank everyone joining us online. And it's very important, I thank the speaker as well. I mean, no maestro is anybody without these musicians. So the great work which I presented to you today is done from our Sustainability and Process Group, our Power Plant and Renewable Energy Group, our Public Health Group, our Minconsult Center of Excellence, the Corporate Communications Team, the Transport Group, the Water Resource Group, the Water Works Group, and many more. Can we have a round for them as well?